Hello, my name is Paul Mayer, and I'm editor of the well-known consumer website Rip Off Britain that's been running for the past 7 years. Like me, I'm sure you've received literally hundreds of emails claiming that you could make literally hundreds of thousands of dollars or pounds, and that you could do this quite easily with very little effort. Like me, I'm sure you're skeptical when you receive these emails. And in my day-to-day activities, I investigate a number of hoaxes and scams, and I thought, well, maybe it's time I investigate this particular area of the internet. So what I did is I, at random, contacted quite a number of these emails, and lo and behold, one gentleman actually contacted me, and it appears that this gentleman, I'd seen his website before by doing some research, and MrX has come out of the shadows. I visited the gentleman in his home, beautiful home I might add, very beautiful home, and he sat down with me and he showed me his business. He actually showed me his bank statements and his merchant credit card account, and I was very impressed. And the old adage, if it's too good to be true, in this instance certainly hasn't panned out. So this is why I'm here today, and I thought you'd like to hear a little bit more about this. And I'd like to introduce you to Craig Richards.
Hello, Paul.
Good afternoon, Craig.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for coming. I'm fascinated about your business, as I'm sure everybody else is. But tell me, what did you do before you became an internet entrepreneur?
20-odd years ago, I was working as a London bus driver, believe it or not. Probably the highlight of my career. But like everybody else, you realise that to make money, you're not going to do it by working for somebody else. You've got to do it for yourself. And I started off in what's now traditionally known, I suppose, as the bricks and mortar business. I've had 2 successful pubs, or should I say, I bought 2 pubs that were run down and turned them into successful ongoing businesses. I've had a recovery business, a vehicle recovery business, but you know, the typical running a country pub with the roses round the door, and you know, oh yes, I'd like to retire to this. Believe you me, you don't retire to a pub. I was doing 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. The only way you really know that it's a weekend is because it's normally busier than other days. I thought, no, I've just got to get out of this. I foolishly then went into the vehicle recovery business. I don't know where my brains were, because now instead of working 14 hours a day, I was working 24 hours a day. So I thought, no, this is just not for me. The idea of working for myself, probably like everybody, is that you have more time to spend doing the things you want to do rather than things you have to do. We were coming up to the year 2000. It was the dot-com boom. Everybody was talking about the internet, and I could see that it was a way to go. I started my first business in November 2001. By January 2002, I had a staff of 4 and a turnover of 100,000 a month, which I don't think in 3 months is too bad. Considering we couldn't even take credit cards at the time, we were actually having the postman deliver sacks of money through the door each day.
That's amazing. But tell me, how did you get involved successfully marketing services and products on the internet? Because obviously the internet, you have to have a website, you have to have various bits of knowledge about how to get involved in this. How did you actually get involved in that part of this things?
I try not to actually get involved in it, Paul. That's probably totally going to throw you there. But the way I look at it is, if I'm going to have a house built, I don't employ one guy to come along and do the plumbing, the bricklaying, the painting. You employ a bricklayer, you employ a plumber, you employ somebody to do the painting, a decorator. What I do is I bring together groups of different people. I mean, I personally don't actually sit down and build my websites. I get somebody in to build them. Search engine optimizations, I get a company to do the search engine optimization. So I farm the different areas of the business out to other people, and I just concentrate on how I'm going to move it forward, how I'm going to actually make it profitable.
So you're really like a large construction company that hires and subcontracts all other people.
Exactly.
Well, that's quite fascinating. But how did you find the ideas for your products and services? How did you establish that?
Okay, the first one was adult related. Nothing illegal, I might add, obviously, but at the time in 2000, 2001, And I dare say now, if people are honest, the first thing people do when they come back from the computer shop with their first computer under their arm is plug it in. I think, oh, let's have a little peek at an adult site. Everybody that I talked to was talking about adult sites, and I'm just one of these people that I think, okay, let's go with the flow. Let's put some adult sites together. Let's see what happens. Yeah. It was very successful, and as I say, I took it to within 3 months, 100,000 a month.
That's fantastic. But the type of businesses that you set up over the years, what would you recommend for people now? What areas of the business would you recommend?
Well, I certainly wouldn't recommend the adult industry.
Why is that?
Well, it's old hat now, to be honest. Yeah. There's so many people. The people that are left in it are the real big boys. It's all freebies. Plus, there's so many rules and regulations, and it's now 2006. Times have moved on. It's not an area that I would recommend people go into. Like I say, 2001 it was fine, but I really wouldn't recommend the adult area now. There are lots of other. It's like everything. The internet moves on. It moves on at a lightning pace, as you know. There are all sorts of other opportunities out there now, much more profitable, and there's much more profitable opportunities out there.
That's interesting. You know, again, I'm fascinated because one of the reasons I contacted you over the past 7 years of running Rip Off Britain, which is basically a non-profit website. It started because I was aggrieved many years ago by certain things, and I decided to put the website together. I didn't have a lot of technical knowledge at the time, but what I'm fascinated in is that many people come along and they look at the internet and they think, I'd like to get involved in this. If somebody came to you and said, look, I want to get involved as become an internet entrepreneur, and I must admit I've never had a complaint over the past 7 years from any internet individual who's been on the internet about any of these companies and what you're doing. So I thought that was pretty good. But tell me, if somebody came to you, how could you actually help them? Would you coach them? Would you help them become successful?
Well, I run seminars, stroke workshops. I keep them very small. They're very intimate. People come to my seminars. They come. I show them how to put a product together, and they walk out the door with a ready-made business.
So how long does it take for somebody from, say, a cold start to start earning an income using your techniques?
3 months.
3 months?
Well, I've done it in 3 months, Paul.
Well, that's amazing.
I dare say I could do it quicker now because I now have credit card processing. At the time, I was asking people, believe it or not, I was advertising offline. I was shifting them from an advert in the newspaper onto their computer to look at my website. I was then offering them the opportunity to phone me up, so they were picking the phone up. I was explaining what the business was, and then I was asking them, please, I can't take any money online, could you please send me a cheque? Go out, write me out a cheque, go to the post box and send me a cheque, please.
That's amazing.
So I dare say now it would be a lot easier because we now have credit card processing.
That's just amazing. You know, in order to create a large, profitable business that quickly runs on autopilot, if I can use that word, what in your experience is one of the most important factors?
What I look for now in any business that I start up, and I must say to you, Paul, that I don't run any large businesses at all. It's me, and that's it. Me on my own, just me. I look for market trends. I look for something where there's obviously a market for that product. I also look for a product that's a high profit margin, because you know it's just as easy. Well, I found it just as easy to sell something for $500 as it is to sell it for $50. The only difference is you make an awful lot more money when you sell it for $500.
So tell me, how does one choose the best internet business that will generate an immediate income in as little time as possible?
Well, I think that's the $64,000 question. If I knew that, then I'd be a lot wealthier than I possibly am. What I personally do is I keep my eye on the market trends. I see what's buzzing, what's happening at the time.
In order to create a large, profitable business that quickly runs on autopilot, what in your experience is one of the most important factors? Is it time, or is it energy? Is it the right product?
By far the right product. And how do you find what's the right product? Well, the way I define what is the right product is I just keep my finger on the pulse. I look at newspapers, I look at magazines, I walk into a store, there's a magazine rack there. fantastic headlines on magazines, you know, because to sell a magazine, bang, it has to be one headline.
Yes.
So I just have a glance, see what's happening. If I see something that's interesting, I'll buy the magazine. It might be Woman's Weekly, who cares? You know, I want it because I want to find out what's going on. I want to keep my finger on the pulse. I want to see what people want, and I want to give them what I want. No point in trying to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to try and sell things to people that they don't want. I want to sell things to people that they do want.
Many people on the internet, some people have difficulty using a mouse. So what special training or tools do people need to launch their first internet business?
Well, if I was to be perfectly honest, Paul, I would say, and if you were coming to me, or anybody was coming to me now and saying, look, Craig, I've just bought my first computer, plugged it in, I'm online, where do I go, what do I do? Obviously, it's best to have your own product, but now the opportunity out there for affiliate marketing is just unbelievable. Virtually every company, large and small, has an affiliate site.
So tell me, what's an affiliate site?
Okay. For people that don't know, affiliate marketing is brilliant because it enables us, me and you, anybody, to go to a company like Walmart, Marks and Spencer's, any travel company, any large company, or large and small company, and sign up as one of their affiliates. Now they will give you a marketing page, a sales page, they'll fulfill the orders, they'll take the money, they just send you a cheque at the end of the month. Brilliant. All you have to do is drive customers to that company's site. You have none of the hassle of fulfilling the orders or taking the money or writing the website, nothing at all. It's just going online, choosing what market you want to be in, taking the appropriate affiliate program and getting it out there and marketing.
Talking about marketing, so how can one instantly get massive exposure with their website without spending loads of money or spending vast amounts of time?
Obviously the best way on this planet to get instant exposure is Google AdWords. You're going to have to pay, yes, of course you're going to have to pay, but then with any business, Paul, there's going to be expenses. You know, you own a big shop, you're going to have rent, rates, heating, lighting, you know, staff. There are going to be expenses. You're not going to anybody that tells you that you can make a fortune online overnight without spending a penny in marketing or on that business is telling you lies. Walk away, don't believe them, because you are going to have to spend time and you are going to have to spend money on it. There is nothing. Google is just amazing. You can put your business in front of, well, I don't know, you probably know more than me how many hundreds of millions of sites there are out there and people that use Google every day. And to think that you can be there, you can have your business up there within 15 minutes in front of hundreds of millions of potential customers is just mind-blowing. When I first started doing direct sales, direct marketing, I was advertising in weekly magazines. I would have to write my ad out, I would have to post it off to them, it would have to go to advertising standards department. They'd have to agree it, they'd have to get back to me. They might say, well, you can't use this phrase or that phrase, I'd have to change it. I would then have to send the ad back into them, I'd have to wait for the magazine to come out. That would be maybe 2-3 weeks down the line before I even knew if that ad was going to work.
Right.
Now, 15 minutes, I can get my business, or any business, in front of hundreds of millions of people. It's just mind-blowing.
So, I mean, I run my Rip Off Britain website, and I know that from experience over the past 6-7 years that I'm getting literally hundreds of thousands of hits on the website every day, and I know it's top of Google, which is very comforting, and I suppose it's been there for a long time. One of the reasons probably is why it is. And I guess somebody coming into the internet business as being an internet entrepreneur, you know, has to have certain skills or knowledge, but as you say, you do help them with that. Now, you say anyone can promote and market their website, and I imagine that most people will be working from home, or everyone will be working from home, so I suppose they'll have very low overheads. Is that right?
Oh, yes, yes. I went through the usual, let's have a big company, or not a big company, but let's have offices, let's have staff, and then I realised, why? Why do I need staff? I don't need offices and staff. Everything I do now is either run on autopilot, I put it out to other people, or I sit and do maybe an hour or maybe 2 hours a day work. I don't mind doing a couple of hours a day for 20,000-30,000 a week.
So you're saying that this could really be a part-time business for many people. It doesn't have to be full-time.
It can be part-time, it can be full-time. What I do say is that if you are, the difference I think there's a difference between having a website and a web business. If you're, anybody can have a website. You know, a 10-year-old kid can have a website. If you're going to have a web business, look at it as a business. Treat it as a business. It is a business. It can be a hugely, hugely profitable business. But again, one that doesn't require you to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go travelling on the train to work, queuing up for buses, working for somebody that you don't like, having to go through that when you come home. You know, you get up, I get up, I work when I want to work. If I decide to have the day off, I have the day off. I work during the night. You know, if I've been busy during the day or I've been out, I'll come home and work at night. I choose when I want to work.
So I understand that you've got quite a number of internet businesses right now. You obviously got some pet favourites. Tell me about some of your pet favourites right now.
The public domain. The public domain is brilliant. There is just so much information out there in the public domain. Hundreds of thousands of books, films, classic films, audios, you name it, you'll find it in the public domain. Now that material is legally there to take and use as your own. You don't have to alter it, you don't have to do anything with it. But obviously I would suggest if you're going to download the complete works of Shakespeare, don't try and pass it off as your own. You know, I mean, probably somebody might find out that it's not true. But there is works out there that, you know, you take it, you can maybe update it a little bit, you can change it, you can break it up, you can mark it, you can put it in e-signs, you can send it out as reports, you can put it in newsletters if you've got newsletters, you can turn it into e-books. I'm passionate about the public domain because there is just so much material there in the public domain just ready and waiting for anybody who wants to be creative to make money with it.
That's interesting because I believe that this public domain is in the US, isn't it?
No. When I say public domain, and somebody asked me this the other day, they said, can you give me the web address of the public domain site? There is not one place where it's all put. The public domain is a term for material that is available to the public. It's been put into the public domain and we can use it. It's stuff that maybe the President of the United States has talked about. It's things that local councils have put into the public domain. The public domain is free material that is available for people to use, and there are one or two main sites where you go. Gutenberg, www.gutenberg.org is probably your first stop. Go there and you would just be amazed at what you'll find. I had a friend of mine come around the other day to fix a problem I had with my computer, and he's been on the net for years, and we happened to be talking, and he said, you know, Craig, I've never really known what you do. And I said, well, I just basically take stuff from the public domain. And he said, well, show me. And when I took him into the public domain and showed him what was available, he was like, what? I can just take that and use it? Right. Yes, you can, Terry. You can have it. You can do what you like with it. You can put your name to it as the author. You can give it away. You can sell it. You asked me what I'm passionate about. Well, I'm passionate about the public domain.
Sounds like you're very passionate. You're very passionate about everything to do with the internet. But the internet is constantly growing, as I understand, and it will continue to grow. So I imagine our opportunities absolutely open for everyone right now?
Everybody. I will sit and talk to people about my businesses. I'll show people how I operate my businesses, because nobody is ever going to corner the market on the internet. I mean, if you did, you'd make Bill Gates look like a pauper, you know. I mean, there is just, I don't know the exact figures, but it's something like 100 million people a week coming onto the internet. I'm not sure what it is. It's changing all the time. The possibilities are just endless for products, services, whatever you want to do, basically, whatever bricks and mortar business you have, you can put it online. Somebody said to me, I took my wife to the dropped off the hairdressers the other day, and we were talking, and they said about, well, there's no point in me having an internet site, you know, I mean, we're hairdressers. I said, well, of course there is. Well, how? Who's going to, you know, if I put an internet site up, who's going to come to me from Hong Kong, in London? You know, I said, well, no, it's not. It's not that. It's just that people come in, and when they come in to book their appointment, you take their phone number and their details, and you ask them for their email. And if you're having a bit of a slow week, you think, okay, let's send some emails out to these customers and say that on Thursday we're doing half-price haircuts. Send them to your website, so we've got special promotions on. He said to me, God, I never thought of that. So yes, the net is there, the internet is there for everybody.
Craig, you were telling me earlier last week about a piece of software that you marketed. You actually were saying that you took this piece of software from nothing that you found on the internet, and you actually turned it into a rather successful money-making venture. How did that work?
Again, it comes back to keeping my finger on the pulse, just being aware of market trends. It was a poker-related piece of software. It suddenly dawned on me one day, this was last year, that I was sitting reading through the Sunday papers and I was looking, there was a big section on there about poker. And suddenly, you know, when you have one of those moments where the lights just go on, you think, hold on, poker? I'm always reading about poker. There's the poker channel on the television, there's poker this, poker that. I thought, I've got to get into this poker. So I just went on the net, on my favourite search engine again, Google, and keyed in poker software. Hundreds of sites came up. I just sat there, I looked through several of them, read them, thought, no. All of a sudden I came across a site which I started reading, and I thought, not the best of websites, but the software sounds very interesting. And I noticed at the end of it that the guy was charging $29.95. I thought, well, no, there's got to be something to this. There's more to it than that. So I emailed him and I explained to him that I live in the UK and that I'm a marketer and I've got a marketing company and I would like to take his product, repackage it, rebrand it, and up the price. That was it. Fired him off the email on the Sunday. I think it was on the Tuesday. He got back to me and I said to him that I explained what I wanted to do. We arranged to speak on the phone. We talked to one another on the phone because I'm one of these people that believes that it's obviously a lot better to interact with people on the phone rather than keep flashing emails backwards and forwards. We talked about what I wanted to do. I said I'd like to take his piece of software, rebrand it, repackage it, write a new website up, take the price from $29.95 to $500. And after I heard a bang, and about 2 minutes later when he said he just got off the floor, he said to me, I cannot believe what you want to do. I think you're mad, but if you want to, go ahead and try it. And we done that, and within, well, from last year to this year, in fact under a year, we've made over $500,000 out of that. The sales went through the roof. Not only did the sales go through the roof, obviously the profits went through the roof. We had $250 each. He was over the moon.
That's an amazing story, and I actually saw the website and I was quite impressed, with it. And obviously, I understand it's still going.
It's still going, but the reason I'm not going to mention it right now is because at the moment we're updating the software, we're updating the program. So I'd just rather wait. I will obviously be letting everybody know what it is again. The prices won't be altering. It will still be $500, but I can, believe me, you've seen it, Paul, I've shown you it. That software is just amazing what it does. And the guy was just pitching it too low. You know, $30, people were thinking, no, this what's it worth? You know, put it up to $500. And now people think, well, $500, now this really must be worth something. And it was.
So I suppose that building value into the products that you sell and also the ideas that go behind those products are important to your operation. Now, you mentioned mass marketing the other week as opposed to just ordinary marketing in the UK. And obviously, I understand the world is at your fingertips. I believe at the last count there was 50 million websites and about 10 billion web pages.
Really?
But how many actual websites would you suggest that a person start off with?
One. Always start with one. It's better to start to walk and then to start running. I was being a little bit facetious there, but I don't know. You know, if somebody is going to develop their own product, then concentrate on that product. You've got to. But if you're doing affiliate marketing, go to ClickBank, clickbank.com. Now on there's 10,000 digital products. So you could effectively, if you had the time to sit there, you could effectively, in fact now there are programs out there that allow you to take the whole 10,000 products and sell each one, and you get a commission. You get between, I think it varies, the average is 50 to 75% commission. So you're getting paid 75% of somebody else's product. They're doing all the work, they're shipping the product, they're fulfilling the orders, they're handling any support, and they're paying you 75% commission just for driving traffic to their site and making sales. So affiliate marketing is very, very powerful, and it's a very easy direct route to get into.
You were talking...
Sorry, Paul, this is something that I cover. I go into quite some depth on this in my seminars.
Now, talk to me about your seminars, because that was actually a key question, is how can a person with little experience exactly duplicate your success step by step? And do you offer any courses or mentoring?
Yes, I do. I think we touched on this before, and other people have touched on it with me. Do you have a blueprint? No, I don't actually have a blueprint. There's not one blueprint that will fit all business models. It's really, as you're asking me now, what do? I keep my eye on what's going on. I keep my finger on the pulse. I keep my eyes and ears open. I keep abreast of market trends. I then, if I find that there is something out there that there's a market for, I see what the competition is. I see if I can do it better than them. Sometimes you don't always have to do it better than them. Just do it alongside them.
Tell me, Craig, what do you mean by offline marketing?
If you remember a little while ago, I was saying to you, I used to, when I first started off, we used to advertise in magazines and newspapers. Well, believe it or not, Paul, I actually still do that. People look at me, these so-called big internet entrepreneurs, what, you advertise in newspapers? What's a newspaper? Well, I'll tell you what a newspaper or magazine is. It's a brilliant way of getting more traffic to your sites. Don't overlook. It's actually been around for a long time, and it's been very, very successful. What I've found now is that newspapers and magazines are dropping their prices because, for whatever reason, people are pulling away from them. But what that's doing is it's leaving the door wide open for people like myself. I place adverts in magazines. Tremendous amount of business. You're missing out if you're running an internet business and you're not using every avenue to market that product, then you're missing out on a lot of potential customers.
Earlier you were talking about, when we discussed in your home, about domain names and how important domain names are. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, domain names are important. To me, they're not the be-all and end-all, but, and please bear with me, Paul, because I don't know a lot about search engine optimization. The domain name is important to the search engines. It does help get your site ranked, but there are other far easier and better ways of getting up the search engines other than domain names. But obviously, if you're running a building company and you're buying a domain name, you don't want a domain name that says "Sweets Are Us" or something. Obviously, you need something that's relevant to the business that you're operating.
I know that Google is the most used search engine, and I think it accounts for probably about 90% of searches on the internet. You obviously want to get your websites up to the top of the search engines, and you've mentioned that you have somebody that does this for you. Is that very expensive?
There are different ways of being on the search engines. Obviously, the search engines are not going to pick your site up immediately. What I say to people is, look, first of all, get yourself on Google AdWords. For people that maybe are not that familiar with Google, when you pull up Google, when Google comes up, down the left-hand side there's all the organics, what we call the organic searches. On the right, you've got the little yellow boxes. They're the paid ads. They're the Google AdWords. That's what people pay. So if you have search engine optimization in your search term, when somebody keys in search engine optimization, up will come that Google AdWord with your business on it. They can click on it and they go through to your website. That's what the Google AdWords system is. And that is brilliant because you can be up and running in 15 minutes from zero start. One of the best ways, but obviously that can be expensive because you're paying per click. And I think the top charge at the moment for adult and gaming related sites are something like $40 a click, which means that somebody clicks once, that's $40 come out your pocket. Twice, $80. That's without buying. So that can, but having said that, you can buy impressions at 2 or 3 cents, 5 cents a time. So it can be a very, very profitable way of marketing your business. Obviously, the organic searches are better, and there are ways of getting your site listed and marketed. Ranked in the search engines. One of the best ways is article marketing. Write an article. I know a lot of people go, oh, I can't write. It doesn't have to be a big article, just an article about your business. I put an article up about 6 months ago on one of my, in fact it was on a poker related business. And I checked with Google, and I think within, well, it was under 7 days, I was ranked #1 at Google out of over 120 million pages. That's in 1 week. That's with an article. Article marketing, very, very powerful.
So tell me, Craig, what's the first step that people should take after listening to this interview here?
Define their market. Decide on what route they want to go down. That might sound, well, yes, that's obvious, but it isn't. I've known people. They say to me, my wife teaches karate, and one of her students who knows that I've got businesses on the net. She said her husband and her son had just recently bought a computer, and they wanted to make money on the internet, but they didn't know what they wanted to do. So you'd be surprised, you know, people think, yes, I want to make money, but I don't know what to do. So define the market. Define whether or not you're going to market a product, or whether you're going to market a service. You might be a horse racing tipster. You might be a coach, a life coach, that you want to offer a service where you're maybe doing telephone consultations. You know, define what you want to do, whether it be market a service or a product, whether you want to get your own product, whether you want to make your own product, whether you've already made your own product, or whether you want to go down the route of affiliate marketing. There are lots of ways to get your own product without actually having to do anything. Again, I get back to what I was talking about, articles. Yeah. I've got to admit, Paul, and I hold my hands up here, I don't write all the articles that drive traffic to my site. I go to somewhere like elance.com. Again, probably a lot of people haven't heard of that, but that's elance.com. You go on there, you post. It's basically like a big community, and you go on there and you post what service you want. So if I want an article written about poker, or about search engine optimization, or whatever I want it written about, I'll put a posting on there, and I'll wait for people to get in touch with me. They will look at that posting, and they'll come back to me and they'll say, yes, I'll write you that article. And I pay on average around, maybe I shouldn't be telling people this, but I pay around on average $6 an article. That's for somebody out in the Philippines who writes that article for $6. Why should I sit and write it? Oh, I don't want to do anything. I am the original lazy person. I don't want to do it.
I think that's amazing. You were saying earlier on about running courses and mentoring. People come to these courses, and
I do run them. There obviously is, well, not obviously, but there is quite a waiting list. But I do run them. I keep them down. I keep them to around 30 to 50 people. 50 people, absolute max. They will come in the morning. We sit down and we have a discussion. And we decide on what product we're going to put together. I will then put together a product throughout the day and actually take it from conception through to actually having it up on Google in the afternoon and making money. And when they walk out of that seminar, they walk out with that business under their arm, which they're ready for them to market and promote the next day.
So tell me, Craig, is being an internet entrepreneur, can that be at any age?
Yes. Have you heard of the guy that made $1 million last year, Alex Chu? Made it with his dots.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Pixel advertising.
Pixelmania, wasn't it?
It was, without giving a plug to his, I'm on it. I actually bought some of his pixels. I think he was an 18-year-old.
That's right.
Was going off to college, needed some money, was sitting in his bedroom thinking, how can I make some money? This is where the internet is brilliant. And I believe the story goes that he had some paper in front of him and he was looking at the dots and he came up with this brilliant idea of selling pixels.
So I remember that.
Selling pixels, how wonderful. Yeah. Just selling little bits of electrons. Yeah. And I think it flashed around the world within no time. He'd sold $1 million worth of pixels, of dots. That's an 18-year-old.
I do remember that because I think he's now gone to the next stage where he's actually got another business started, if I'm not mistaken. And I actually took an interest in that business myself because running a consumer website, we don't make an awful lot of money from it. In fact, it's really non-profit as long as I make enough to keep the server going and to pay for my time for putting information in there, which is used to the consumer. But, there are sceptical people. I mean, how can you persuade somebody, or should you have to persuade anyone who's sceptical?
No, you shouldn't have to, but I quite understand. Let's be honest, it's the easiest thing in the world. I could sit here now, I could sit at my computer at home and I could write endless amounts of material about what I've got and what I've done. But what did I do? When you contacted me, I said to you, well, come round to see me, come round to my house. Yeah. Now, if I was living in a one-bedroom basement apartment, not that there's anything wrong with a one-bedroom basement apartment, but, if I'm supposedly making all this money, I'm probably not going to be living in a one-bedroom basement apartment. So, you shouldn't have to convince people, but I understand that people do want convincing. And I've shown you my bank statements. In fact, on one of my websites, there's my credit card processing up there. I've taken a couple of weeks random payments and I've put them up on screen so that people can see where I'm making 20, 30,000 a week. And that's there with all the credit card processing. I use Deutsche Bank to process my credit card. The information is all there for people to see because I understand that it maybe is important that people see that I am actually doing what I say I'm doing.
So with all your knowledge and all your experience, you've now, as I understand it, reached the stage where you want to share all this information. Why do you want to give your secrets away? Because I've reached it. It's not going to affect me. Whatever I do, whatever I show, whatever I tell people, it's not going to affect my business. Plus also, believe it or not, I get an enjoyment out of showing people because I've been in that situation. Paul, I grew up in a council house in one of the roughest parts of London. I lived there until I was 20 when I got married. We didn't have any hot water. I had an outside toilet which was halfway down the garden. We had no running hot water whatsoever. We had no bathroom. Our bath, believe it or not, was hanging on a nail in the garden. I used to have to go and get that bath and carry it upstairs every Sunday night to have a bath. So, and I remember one night coming home, I was driving home, I'd been to a meeting about how to make money, believe it or not, in London. And I was driving home and I was looking at the petrol gauge thinking, am I going to get there? Have I got enough petrol to get me home? Because I didn't have any money on me. And when I say I didn't have any money, I was absolutely ravenous. I was starving. And I pulled up outside this chip shop. And I know this sounds corny, and I know probably nobody's going to believe me. But I was raking around on the floor under the carpets to see if I had because I didn't have enough for a bag of chips. So I know, Paul, I've been there. I've been there. I know what it's like. I've had money, I've lost money. I've made money, I've lost money. I've made mega money, I've lost money. Fortunately, the good times outdo the bad times, but I've made some horrendous disasters. I'm human. I've had businesses, I've started businesses where I thought, yes, this is going to make me a multi-millionaire overnight. And it's bombed in existence, bombed out of existence. That's a beautiful story, and I know we discussed this when I first met you, and
I'm sorry if I get so worked up.
No, that's fine.
I am passionate about this.
That's fine.
I'm passionate about how you can make money on the net.
Yeah.
And again, just very, very quickly interrupting you, I'm sorry, Paul, but we talked about opportunities coming along. Now that guy, Alex Chu, with the dots, who would have thought that you could make, if I'd have said to you 2 years ago, or even last year or the year before, I'm going to make £1 million or $1 million out of selling dots, what would you have said to me?
I probably would have thought you were crazy, to be honest with you.
Probably am.
And I probably would have taken a rip-off Britain website and I would have investigated the whole thing. But as I said earlier on, I've never actually had a complaint from anyone who's taken one of these schemes on and become an internet entrepreneur. And I was quite impressed by that. I get complaints about the water board, I get complaints about electricity boards, I get a complaint about somebody that's been had by a double glazing company. But I can honestly say I've never had a complaint about internet entrepreneurs. And this is one thing that really fascinates me. In fact, as you well know, I've just put Google AdSense on my website, Rip Off Britain, and you're allowed to put, I believe, three ads on there, and actually it's doing quite well, and I've got to thank you for that.
Yeah. Yes, we did, didn't we? We sat there and I explained to you on that afternoon when you were around at my house.
Yeah, it was amazing. That.
Yes, and it's working.
It's working. Yeah, I was quite impressed. Yeah. In fact, I'm taking quite a few of your ideas. We talked about, obviously I built my website years ago, and it was quite a difficult task for me to do. But I understand that you've got software out there which is so easy. You just type it in there, press a button, and it does it for you.
Paul, I bought a sneaky little piece of software last week that will write, you and I were saying about articles and how powerful they can be. Because what happens is, sorry, I didn't explain that very well. Maybe people think, well, how come writing an article will boost your website? But at the bottom of that article is the author box, and in there it will have your name and it will have a link to your website. So people just click on that and they're back to your website. So obviously being up on top of the search engines is great because of all the traffic that you get. As I said, I can go onto Elance. I've got people now that will write me an article for $6, 700-word article. But I have to admit, and I'm really excited about this, and I will show you this piece of software which you won't believe. I've now got this piece of software that will write up to 1,000 articles in under 5 minutes, and these are all unique articles.
You were telling me they also create multiple websites at the same time at the press of a button.
Just press a button. I could have 1,000 different websites with 1,000 different articles on them within minutes. I mean, it's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal what's out there now.
I was always amazed about this because over the years I thought, well, with the major newspapers who have to update their websites every day, the Sun, the Mirror, to name but a few, the Times, there's not somebody sitting there putting in the code into in the old HTML, which I have to do. I've got the little tags and I type in my updates and I then upload it to the server, which is that's quite easy. I mean,
how long would it take you to put a website from scratch with, let's say, 1,000 words on it?
Well, I know a 10-page website can take me from anywhere from 22 to 60 hours. And that's the designing, the graphics, the text, research, everything.
So if I said to you that I could put 1,000 web pages up in minutes, would you be impressed?
I would indeed. It would save a lot of time.
That's what the software does. And there is software out there now. Again, yes, you're going to have to invest. But I'm talking this software, I think it's just over $100. I've got a friend of mine who has got a chain of, or he's got the franchise on 3 McDonald's restaurants. And I must admit, I get people that say to me, yes, Craig, but I want to make a fortune online, I want to make it overnight, and I don't want to have to spend any money on it. And I'm afraid that's when I start to get a little bit annoyed, because, that's just ridiculous. It's stupid for anybody to sit there and say that can be done. It can't be done. I've got to get him back to this friend of mine. He's got a franchise on 3 McDonald's. Each one of them cost him $1 million to go into. So that's £3 million it's cost, or $3 million it's cost him before he's even sold a burger. He's got staff, he's got rates, he's got heating, he's got lighting. You have a bricks and mortar business. My last pub that I had and my restaurant, I think my weekly outgoings were somewhere like 5,000–6,000 a week. So when people say to me, oh, well, I've got to spend $100 on a piece of software. Yes, you have. But look what it will do. I don't know how much a 10-page website would cost to put together in a traditional way. I don't know. But I know that I could put 1,000 web pages up, all individual web pages with individual articles, links, AdSense embedded in them, all with this piece of software that costs around about $100. So yes, there are going to be some expenses, but the expenses for the return is just minimal. is minuscule for the amount of return that you can get.
So it's obviously getting easier for people to become an internet entrepreneur,
Yes.
taking your ideas on board, using inexpensive, easy-to-use software. In other words, you don't want to be... The technicalities are done for you. Because that's what scares people, isn't it?
It's what scares me, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about the technicalities. I do not want to sit and spend hours and hours and hours and hours building a website. I would rather give that to somebody else to do, although now I don't need to because of this software that I've got that's just come on the market. But I don't want to learn. I want to make the money. You know, I don't want to sit going to a course for 3 or 4 weeks on learning a particular, maybe how to put a website together with HTML when I could be earning thousands of pounds by just paying somebody a couple of hundred to do it and then get it out there earning money.
So it's a case of earning, not learning.
Exactly, yeah.
Could I say that?
Have we got a piece of paper? I'll make a note of that.
Put that down. No, I just thought of that one because it's... because I know that in the late 90s, the dot-com boom suddenly shrank. A lot of people got worried about the business. A lot of
burnt fingers.
Internet businesses went out of the window.
They were never making money anyway. The majority of those sites weren't making money. They'd gone on to venture capitalists, and they were having money pumped into it, but they never made money from day one. My sites, they make money from virtually day one. If you're a one-man business, you've got to make money anyway. You can't afford to keep pumping money into businesses that aren't bringing in the returns.
Well, I think you've just about covered everything. I can't think of anything else to ask you that really would be relevant, because I think you've just about covered it all. But I understand you're going to be starting some seminars very shortly, and I certainly will be there for one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I mean, as I say, my website's really a non-profit website, although I do like to get a little income in just to pay for the server and my time. But I think it's about time I started to get to grips with this new industrial revolution that you've mentioned on the web. And I thank you very much for coming in today and being so frank and honest about what you do and how you do it. And I just hope that other people take the time to duplicate and do what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.